He was chewing my grandson when my sister went in there. She was livid. He had a ripped up sheet, a ripped up bed. His mattress was ripped up. She says, "What happened to that bed your mother bought for this baby?" Crystal says, "David took it back." Why did David take it back? He needed pain pills. So my grandbaby's got to sleep in a lead, busted up bed because David needed pain pills, you know. And then there was another girl that David was getting his pain pills off of, and he lived on that first street right before my store. So David would go back there. I watched him.
Calling them up every time and telling them that I've done this or I'm doing this. You know, I have had DCS out to my house about 16 times or so, and I've done every damn thing they wanted, but that shit's getting old. You know what I mean? I met a lady when we finally me and him. I painted a house for a fellow and got us a nice ride. And I took John to Cherokee, and me and John was out in the pool swimming with her kids, and just me and her got to talking. And somehow another Summer's name come up, and she was, you know, involved with it. You know what I mean? As far as, you know, trying to pass the word along, and you know what I mean, and everything. And when she found out who I was, you know, and I knew we sit there and we had a long conversation. She said, "My God, that's got to be terrible," you know, and people looking at you and accusing you, and you know, you're the only one, you know, you're the only parent out of your life that's taking care of your kid, you know. I said, "Yeah, it's getting right frustrating." I said, "I'm about ready to go buy me a damn gun and throw some lead at some idiots. I'm getting tired of this. I'm a you know, a peaceful fella, but damn, how much more can a man take?" You know what I mean?
Yeah, and that's sad, and it's sad for the whole community.
From me, and anybody who thinks you're going to take my kid from me, damn well better be ready to take it to the tombstone.
That's right.
Because I'll fight to the last damn breath over my kid, you know.
I mean, this is just, I'm sure your community is devastated. Do you know what the feeling is in the community?
There's a lot of people that's like me that if they could ever get the sights lined up on the right person, I don't think he would ever hear from that son of a bitch again.
Well, it's good to hear.
Well, when we went back to Candus the other day, we went to visit her. We were kicking in her house until she arrived back, and she was calling about someone missing because she heard the bad news too.
Yeah, she went somewhere and called me up and asked me if I'd feed her animals while she was gone, and me and John done that for her.
And how long ago was that?
That was a while back. Probably last year sometime, I think. But I'm like, if you're going to be gone, why even have an animal? Now, her private investigator or whoever, I can't remember his name, you know, he said the only two people that were supposed to be up on the property would be me and John and him. You know, I mean, I was just trying to be a friend, you know, because I just really didn't get to, I don't know. I had people ask me that, "Do you think Candus and Donnie's involved in her missing?" I honestly don't know, but I didn't really feel from Candus, but you know, like I say, I don't know what normal people do. I didn't hang there a lot. I didn't try to get to know them in depth. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it was more for the kids, just a friend. Now, have you been in contact with Candus or Dawn since Summer's gone missing?
Oh, that's when we were taking care of the animals. Dawn was locked up in jail, and she was off somewhere. She was somewhere out of state or something.
Yeah,
I mean, we stopped up and visit her, you know, just try to see if she's heard anything or to see how she was doing or whatnot. You know what I mean?
Yeah. When's the last time you seen her?
God, it's been months down the road since it's probably been almost right at a year now, I'd imagine. I tried texting her, and she ain't never texted me back. You know what I mean? So
yeah, well, I'm sure she's changed her number. You know, she's all the YouTubers. She actually, I don't know if you've been paying attention, but a local YouTuber, Dawn B, she claims stalking her. I don't know, because I don't really follow him that much, you know.
Yeah.
But she had went and gotten a protection of order against him, but she's in another county.
I figured something like that had probably happened or whatnot, but like I say, you know, I just know him, you know, as a friend, just, you know, in short passing, you know what I mean?
Yeah. You know, it's just really sad because so many children are hurt, and it's not just John. You know, Summer had other friends too. Her little friend Journey, that was Marlena's son. I mean,
And I
daughter,
know
sorry.
And, I know Miss Sandy Clark's upset about it because she knows Candus and her brother because she worked at Kepler School and she only lived right down the road from Candus. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I know they're still scratching their head wondering why hadn't something come of this? Why hadn't somebody found out something?
Now, do you know, did Candus have a lot of strangers? Because it seems she had a lot of kids, like teenagers. Hunter, he's involved in this, and there's talk of another young teenager named Cameron. Marlena actually got on a channel called Lips and said that Candus was sleeping with Dawn Chambers' son.
I couldn't tell you nothing about that, hon. I never seen it, never heard nothing of it, never asked them about it. You know what I mean? I don't even know half them or none of them names you just come out.
So you've never seen teenagers up there?
No.
No, only the 3 kids.
Just her 3 kids, you know what I mean?
Yeah, Josie, Wyatt,
Well, his little voice is so cute.
Oh, he's such a great kid, man, and
I've heard that from a lot of people. I heard you're a really good kid, John.
he's my world, man, you know what I mean? And I'm overprotective. I mean, we were coming back trying to help our neighbor out, coming back from Bristol with a truckload of rock for him, and I just had a little Ford Ranger, and I had 6 big trucks blow by us and got me kind of squirrely because the shocks were bad, and I was just trying to make it to the next exit, and we ended up flipping my truck 5 times, and I thought I'd lost my son, man. Ever since then, I mean, and that's even piled on top of Summer's missing, you know what I mean?
Oh, man.
It would be the worst thing somebody could do is let me catch from harming a kid, especially trying to come in here and bother mine, because God might have mercy on them, but I'm going to take their ass straight to hell.
I pray that Summer is found, and not just for Summer, but for her brothers, for her family, for the community. I mean, it has to be scary not knowing what happened to this little girl.
Yeah.
And you guys still live there, and there's children in the area, and I mean that's worrisome.
I wanted to let him go outside by himself. You know what I mean? And I used not to be that. Out here in the country, you shouldn't have that. Kind of where your kid can't go out in his own yard and play with his own dog without being severely supervised. You know what I mean? I mean you won't know where your kid's at, but you know what I mean.
Yeah, so, and I'm sure your whole community's like that with their children right now.
Every time he's out, it's like, if I can't see him or hear him, I'm going outside checking on him,
And imagine everything he's seen, because you guys are really close to Mount Carmel Church, right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. We're only right down the road from it, about a half mile, not even.
Yeah, that's true. Dad always keeps to look at him because when I was playing with Shaggy in the backyard, I saw Daddy watching right there, and when I turned around, Shaggy made a little U-turn.
That's his little dog, Shaggy. But,
and Tinkerbell.
And Tinkerbell.
Yeah, that's his other little dog.
I have a little dog. His name is Chico. He's a Chihuahua, and he likes to bite ankles. Yeah.
Candus actually got Tinkerbell. She knew somebody in Kingsport. Crystal could tell you more about any of that because they were buddying up for a long while. You know what I mean? And she asked me if I wanted a Chihuahua dog, but this lady was mistreating it, and I didn't want it, but John said he was wanting it. I just lost my dad's dog. You know what I mean? And that was another heartbreak. Because we were fishing when we found her. She walked up and started eating on my dad's bologna sandwich when he went to go check his bowl, and he ended up bringing her back. Oh, she's mine now. She's been fixed and all that, and he was still living in North Carolina at the time. I was trying to get him moved up here to Tennessee, and a week after I got him home, he called me up wanting to borrow $400 and some odd dollars. I'm like, well, what do you need the money for, Dad? He said, well, little bit went running after one of his friend's car when he was leaving and ran into the tire and broke her leg. I said, I ain't gonna loan you the money. I'll give you the money.
Yeah. So Candus and Dawn actually had a ton of dogs. Were any of them ever mean?
No, they would bark, but they were nothing that really bite you or nothing.
Yeah. Do you think they would have barked? Because there's rumors that the dogs disappeared the day Summer went missing. So, I mean, it ain't rumors. Dawn and Candus had said that. Do you think they would have barked if somebody was taking Summer?
I'm pretty sure if somebody would have been there, because hell, every time I pull up in that yard, they come barreling out, barking like a bunch of banshees. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But if you got somebody creeping up through the woods right there, say if there was say a pedophile or something in the woods trying to creep up, knowing there was a little girl there, who knows?
No.
Some of it just don't sound. The way we found out was a neighbor down the road come pulling up one night about 10 o'clock at night, and I'd seen all the helicopters and stuff flying around and all the presents. I didn't know what. I thought it might have been a bad wreck or they were chasing somebody or, you know what I mean? Because the helicopter, you know what I mean? And he got out and he was in the woods or something. And then when Hack come up and told me that Summer was missing, I'm like, what? And he hadn't even got pulled out of the driveway yet. And then here come Shannon's ex-boyfriend came up and he heard about Shannon. I'm like, no, what? He said she's dead. I was like, within 10 minutes, like I say, we got slammed by two bad newses. You know what I mean?
Oh,
he was already crying about Summer missing, and then his Aunt Shannon coming up missing. Shannon treated John way better than her, even though she was, she liked her pain pills. She didn't do all that dumb crap.
Wow, so you guys actually had two police calls going on at the same time.
Yeah, you know what I mean? And, I weren't involved in, Shannon, she stayed with us, when she needed a place to stay here and there. But like I told her, we go to bed around 9, no later than 10, because I got to get up, 4:30 in the morning, get ready to get him on the bus and stuff.
And was she friends with Candus and Dawn as well?
No. She didn't know them at all.
Okay. It's just so scary.
She was a real nice lady. She just wouldn't get her mind right and go to the damn doctor or whatnot. I don't really know. I can't say nothing about her. She's always treated me and John really nice.
Yeah, and I'm not even I won't talk about that. It's just, interesting. This is the first time I've heard there was two police calls.
But Linda, she pulled up after putting all that shit there on YouTube, going to pull up my driveway, wanting to drop him off a used damn bicycle. I got him a brand new one back here that Leroy bought him for Christmas. I don't need nothing from her. I just told her to get the hell off my property. All that John is to her is a damn check. That's all that boy is to her. She don't give a damn about nothing or nobody but herself. Oh, that was, I don't know. But I've seen Crystal slipping long before any of this crap, happened. And that was probably because when I was out trying to make us extra money, I used to do yard work for a guy named Joe that lived behind the mountain behind us here. He was, in a wheelchair and stuff. And I met him one day up in the store, and he asked me if I'd be interested in giving him a hand around the house because he couldn't do a whole lot. Help his mom out. He'd, give me $75 a day to go over and help him out. And while I was gone trying to do the right thing for the family, bringing in money, she was out, had people coming over, cheating on me, I guess, started in that meth crap and all that mess. And
do you know how long ago she became addicted?
It's been years now. I mean, John was real little then. It's been 4 or 5 years. It was right after he was born. I come pulling up one day and he come running out of the house screaming. And from that point on, I wouldn't, I'd leave him with Lori.